What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to start a new tradition. We need to have a look at the Disney Lorcana Awards 2024. I've been doing this with Pokemon since 2017. I started last year with One Piece, and now that we've had our first full calendar year of Disney Lorcana, we can join in the fun as well. Remember, we are talking about the year 2024. There were 4 sets released in 2024. They were Into the Inklands, Ursula's Return, Shimmering Skies, and Azurite Sea. Yes, I know that the first chapter in Rise of the Floodborn had many good cards, but they were released in 2023, not 2024, so they are not eligible for any of these awards. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So let's start off with the most subjective award, Best Artwork, which I'm going to give to Mickey Mouse Musketeer Captain. This was just the card that jumped out to me the most when I initially saw it. I actually have this signed by the artist, which makes me very, very happy. Although I do want to give a shout out here to Baymax Personal Healthcare Companion, which is a card I am very fond of, but then I'm also like a huge Baymax fanboy, so not sure how fair that is. Don't have this one signed yet, but a man can dream. The most objective award is for most valuable card, which is actually the Enchanted Mufasa, which is coming in at about $280. Yeah, that surprised me a little bit as well. But Shimmering Skies, that's the answer. Mufasa from Shimmering Skies, it's about $280 as I record. That is the most valuable card. So there we go. Have you pulled it? Let me know in the comment section. Now, in terms of best location, I'm giving it to Queen's Castle, but I know some of you are going to disagree with this. And as always, do let me know in the comment section what you would give these awards to. Do bear in mind that there's a lot of different ways people are going to think about cards, so you might not agree with everything that I'm saying here. But do try and avoid comments like, this guy doesn't have a clue, this guy's never played Lorcana. Do remember, I casted 3 of the 4 European DLCs this year and the European Championships. I'm very plugged in on what's good in Lorcana right now. I think Queen's Castle Mirror Chamber is the best location that was released this year. Hidden Cove, it would be the other option here. And I know some people would rather give it to Hidden Cove, and that's alright as well. But Queen's Castle, you get to draw a card at the start of your turn for each character you have here. You gain 2 passive lore and 7 willpower, proved incredibly annoying. Hidden Cove does boost up some of your characters to give them more survivability, change the maths, make things annoying. You could go for that one, but I'm going for Queen's Castle Mirror Chamber. In terms of best item, I'm going Lucky Dime. I think there are other items you can have a look at this year that saw more play. But in terms of which item released this year that had the biggest impact, it was Lucky Dime from the first set of the year Into the Inklands. You get to pay to and exert it to gain lore equal to one of your characters. This plus Tamatoa have ended many a game of Disney Lorcana this year, but it's also good for a whole bunch of other characters as well. It has made Sapphire into a powerhouse. It is great. And yeah, I think it's the best item released this year. Going ink by ink is definitely going to cause some arguments as we go through, but in terms of best Ruby, I'm going for Sisu. And I think we kind of have to cheat a little bit here, and we actually have to go for a pair of Sisu. I think we have to go for Sisu Emboldened Warrior, and then we have to go for Sisu Empowered Sibling. And these are just redonkulous cards that have made Ruby so much better. Emboldened Warrior sees more play. It's a free cost, it's got 4 willpower, it quests for 2, but it gets +1 strength for each card in your opponent's hand, builds up very quickly. And Empowered Sibling's got shift 6, quest for 3, but also when you play it, you banish every character with 2 strength or less. And yes, you can use stuff like Ice Block to then reduce power to get characters that you maybe wouldn't have expected to get, or your opponent wouldn't have expected you to get. And I think the Sisu cards, in terms of cards that were released in the year 2024, have had the biggest impact on Ruby. Although, you could go Brawl, and I would not be upset if you went for Brawl. Brawl is a phenomenal card that sees a ridiculous amount of play, but I'm going for Sisu, and it's my list. Best Sapphire, I think we have to go for Visions of the Future. And this feels like a really underwhelming card, if I'm honest with you. It's a 2-cost Inkable, lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put one in your hand. It's not a very exciting card, but a lot of the exciting Sapphire cards released last year. I'd love to give it to Tamatoa, but Tamatoa didn't come out this year. And the reality is, whether you're looking at Ruby Sapphire, or whether you're looking at Sapphire Steel, a lot of the time, Sapphire decks are playing at least 3, if not 4 Visions of the Future. It is the most played card that I can see in Sapphire this year, the most impactful card. And maybe you want to go for something like Sail the Azurite Sea. Recent card released, another phenomenal 2-cost Inkable card. But I don't think we should. I think the answer here is Visions of the Future. Best Amethyst, we're going recent, but I feel really good giving it to Genie. I think Genie is the best Amethyst card released this year. Take a look at the European Championships a couple of weeks ago. Look at all the Amethyst decks, which did phenomenally. They're all playing for Genie. 4-cost uninkable, and there's no one thing about Genie which is amazing. But you've got the combination of 4 willpower, that's pretty good. Quest for 2, that's pretty good. Evasive, so it can only be challenged by characters with evasive, that's pretty good. Draw a card on play to replace it in your hand, that's pretty good. And you add all those things together, and I think this is the best Amethyst card that was released in all 4 sets that came out this year. Now, best Emerald, some people are going to disagree with me. I'm going Diablo. I actually feel really good about giving this to Diablo. And here, I'm talking about Diablo Devoted Herald. It's got shift, discard, and action cards, so you don't even have to pay to shift it in. And it's got evasive, and whenever your opponent draws a card when you're exerted, you draw a card as well. But we do also have to mention it with Diablo Maleficent Spy, that when you play, you look at your opponent's hand. Incredibly useful. And essentially, we had the early days of the format, where this and Bucky were so oppressive, they literally had to errata Bucky massively to stop it. And I know since the Bucky errata, Diablo and Emerald as a whole, to be honest with you, hasn't been as good. But I'm telling you, the potential here for Diablo is still phenomenal. It's still, as far as I'm concerned, the best draw engine in Disney Lorcana. And we can't discount the fact that until they literally errated his best friend, this was just absolutely everywhere. I feel really good. It's not the best card at the end of 2024. It is the best card in 2024 as a whole. And I think Diablo is the answer. Best Amber, I'm giving to one of my favourite Lorcana cards. It's Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain. I adore Piglet. I think Piglet is phenomenal. It's an alright card on the face of it. It's a card whereby it's a 2-cost, 2/2, quest for 1. It's fine. But while you have 2 or more other characters in play, you quest for free. That is absurd. It's a phenomenal card. And I think the other option here, if you didn't go for Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain, the other best option would probably be Ursula Vanessa, a great character used in all of the Amber Song decks. But I think essentially the answer here is that although Ursula is great in Song decks, Piglet also sees play in Song decks, as well as seeing play in more aggro Amber decks, which Ursula Vanessa doesn't. So Ursula Vanessa, Singer 4 on a 2-cost, great card, no argument there. But I think Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain, I think that's the answer. I feel very good. And similarly, best steal, I'm going to give to my favourite card. It's Mr. Smee. I love Mr. Smee. It's another card that revolves around captains. Actually combos very nicely with Piglet. And what we've got here is a 2-cost free quest for 2. Absurd stats for a 2-cost Inkable. But at the end of your turn, if this character is exerted and you don't have a captain in play, you have to put 1 damage on the character. It's phenomenal. How many times have you lost a game because Mr. Smee just came out turn 2 and quested for like 6-8 lore over the course of a couple of turns? The answer should be several. It's phenomenal. There are, of course, other really good options here. Pete is a great option because it stops your opponent playing action cards until the start of your next turn. Obviously a phenomenal card. And obviously we've got to have a look at Robin Hood here, which is a redonkulous card. It's got everything. It's got 6 willpower. It's got shift, Whenever you banish a character in a challenge, you gain 2 lore. When you're banished in a challenge, you draw a card. It's a staple in so many Steel decks, but I don't think it sees play in as many or is as impactful as Mr. Smee, so that's why I'm going for Mr. Smee. And that's all of the individual cards, so go argue in the comment section, but please be polite about it. In terms of best deck, it's Ruby Amethyst. I feel really good about giving it to Ruby Amethyst. I think Ruby Amethyst has to be the answer. It's been great since the beginning of the year, but then we get down to the European Championships and it's 3 of the top 4 decks and wins the whole thing. Yeah, Ruby Amethyst for me, it's the deck of the year. Ruby Sapphire is good, but it's no Ruby Amethyst. Best expansion, I really struggled with this. I'm not sure any expansion this year has really jumped out as the best of the year, and I don't say that as a bad thing. I think all 4 of the expansions are really good. I'm giving it to Ursula's Return. And if you think back to a lot of the cards I've mentioned in this video, things like Sisu, things like Diablo, then I think there are just so many great cards in this set. I think it had a huge, well, I don't think it did have a huge impact. There is a real argument that there are other sets that had a bigger impact, and I don't blame you for that. I might be slightly biased because this was the set when I started casting. So in my first couple of tournaments, we opened so many boxes of this at the event. So maybe that's clouded my judgment. But I'm saying Ursula's Return. And I feel really good about calling it Ursula's Return. But this is probably, of all of the awards I'm giving here, the one I am least sure about. And I think there are just 4 really good sets. I don't think there's a wrong answer for this one. In terms of best card 2024, I'm giving it to Diablo. I think Diablo was the best card released this year. For all the reasons I explained earlier, I think this was the biggest and best card released in 2024. I think maybe when we look back on it, we could say Genie might have been it. But right now, I feel really confident giving it to Diablo. So there we go. The first ever Disney Lorcana Awards. We're going to do this next year and the year after and basically every year until either I stop making videos or Disney Lorcana stop making sets. Which, honestly, for the next couple of decades, I hope doesn't happen. For now, I want to know your opinions on all of these. I want to know what you would have chosen for all of these categories. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Disney Lorcana and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.